Hey everybody, my name is Lisa and I'm the Crafty Goddess. Hello and welcome. This is a bit of a different format. Unfortunately, my laptop, for some reason, the camera isn't working on it. I'm not sure why. I'm going to have to take it in to get it fixed. I know a couple people that do some home computer repairs, so I'm going to be hitting them up soon, seeing how much it'll cost to fix this. I was hoping to do a live today, but instead I have to do this. So yeah, I'm kind of at a loss, but yeah, I just wanted to do, if it's okay with you folks, just do like maybe like a stitch and a chat type of thing, sort of get caught up because I'm still recovering from surgery. Yes, I survived surgery. Woo! I survived my surgery. I didn't, I shouldn't say I didn't think I was going to. I was obviously very nervous walking into it. Surgery happened last Wednesday, which was August the 16th, and it was just a lumpectomy with an auxiliary lymph node dissection. And as far as I know, the surgery itself went well. Um, I say as far as I know because I was absolutely knocked silly. I had asked around a few friends if they had undergone a procedure like that and what was it like. Would I feel the intubation? I was more okay. I should probably issue a trigger warning in case anybody has any aversions to medical procedures, that sort of thing. Just maybe hit skip or mute or something while I go with this. By the way, I'm working on yet another chemo cap. It's the chemo cap from Chrissy's Over the Mountain Crochet, which I've posted a link to before in a previous YouTube video. I pinned it as a comment. I pinned her tutorial because I'm not going to do a tutorial. My crochet skills are probably not as stellar as some folks, so I'd rather leave it to the experts. So yeah, you have an aversion to medical stuff, hit mute, maybe even skip the video altogether if you like, and we can pick up another time. That's no problem. I completely understand. So the day before the surgery, I had to take out all my piercings, which was funny because I felt so naked without them. It was interesting. I was feeling so vulnerable during the surgery, but what really tripped me up was removing my piercings because you're not allowed any like metal, no piercings, no jewelry, no glasses, no uh dental appliances, etc. And I was kind of curious as to why, but I guess what would have happened is during the surgery, in case there was cauterization of the incisions or whatever, it could travel and I guess melt my jewelry or something. I'm not sure. I probably oversimplified this because I do not have a degree in medical practices at all. The most medical experience I've been certified for is I have my first aid in CPR. That's it. So I had to remove my jewelry. I was not allowed any food after midnight and was only allowed clear fluids up until 4 hours before the surgery, which was not a problem for me. I think I pretty much wasn't able to eat because I was so nervous. So I didn't have a problem with that. But I did continue to drink water and whatnot, clear fluids anyway. But I didn't get very much sleep the night before because I have never undergone surgery before in my life. I've never even undergone general anesthetic, not even for dental procedures. I've had dental surgery, I've had wisdom teeth removed, and I always insisted on local anesthetic because I didn't want to be all dopey headed, excuse me, and nauseous, in the doctor's office. And I've seen enough YouTube videos of people being all fuzzy headed and incoherent and whatnot, and I didn't want to be another statistic, so I said no thank you. So being under general anesthetic, I was a little concerned, especially with the intubation. Between you, me, and these four virtual walls, I have a very, 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 very high gag reflex, and I can't undergo certain dental procedures without gagging. I also have a deformed palate, apparently, according to one of the dental technicians that worked on me last year. So that might be a contributing factor. But I had asked various friends about this because I was concerned. I mean, obviously, the the pre-op nurse, the nurse that was talking to me when I went for my pre-op a week before, she said, we're not going to do it wide awake. And I imagined it wasn't going to be a scenario where they're going to be like, okay, open wide, and then shove it down. But I had asked some friends about this procedure, and they said the general consensus was the same thing. You're not going to feel a thing. You're not going to know anything's happening. You're going to have a mask put over you. You're going to be asked to count backwards from 100. You're going to wake up not knowing where the last couple hours went, and everything's going to be fine. And they were absolutely correct. So, yeah, the day of the surgery, we rolled in. My husband came with me because I was a nervous wreck and I wanted / needed his support. He was going to take the day off work anyway, just come with me. But he was my security blanket that day. I was literally shaking like this. He came with me. We showed up at the hospital at 8:30 because we had to be there 2 hours before, for all the prep work, whatnot. I had to get another mammogram that morning just because my surgeon wanted to make absolutely certain where the one tumor was. I say the 7 o'clock position in the breast, but it's right in the crevice, like right in the underboob, like right underneath. So, which it was very difficult to get certain images of that done with previous imaging, like mammogram, ultrasound, that sort of thing. So he wanted to make absolutely certain he knew where it was, because, it could be a degree off. He explained this to me while I was waiting to go in the OR. It could be at 30 degrees, but instead it's at 40, that sort of thing. So he wanted to make absolutely certain. He got the one, I guess, cross-section image done of all three. Well, the two that are still there and the one that wasn't. And then we waited. I was in the gown. They told me to take everything off. So I was in that lovely gown with the strings and the paper slippers and the, I call it a hairnet. It's the head covering. I had my scarf on. No, I was wearing a hat. I was wearing one of my slouchy hats because when we left, it was pretty chilly. It was about 15 degrees Celsius. So I want to say maybe 60s Fahrenheit. So it was a little cool. I liked it, but whatever. So I was strapped down to that. 10 o'clock rolls around. A porter shows up. Locks me into shouldn't say locks me into the bed. She's okay, ready to go. Pulled up the gate on both sides of the bed and said, "You're not going anywhere." And that's when my anxiety went through the roof. I just basically wanted to jump out of that bed and run. Because you don't tell somebody with anxiety that they are locked in somewhere. It's just, it's not. I'm sure she was, she did it for humor. It was funny, and it was funny, but at the time, I was freaking out. I'd never undergone any of this before, so I had even talked to the nurses beforehand, brought up my concerns about my gag reflex and possible nausea, and they said that I would be fine, but I would be talking with the anesthetist, the person who hooked me up with the happy gas, about my concerns. And I can honestly say that everybody I did talk to was just so incredibly kind and informative and amazing. And we, I'm not going to say we sailed through it because, surgery is going to be invasive no matter what. So 10 o'clock. I'm rolling down the hall. I can hear my husband behind me. "Bye, I love you. You got this." The whole day he was actually, I wouldn't say he was pumped. I mean, he was a little nervous too, but at the same time he said, "Look at it this way. It's eviction day. We're evicting these tumors. We're getting rid of them. It's going to be, downhill from here. At least we hope." So, pathology reports and radiation pending. But he said, "Yeah, this is a celebration. We're getting rid of this. This is the next step, and it's a huge step, but the worst of it is it will be over." And again, he was right. I really appreciate the fact that he was trying to hype me up and keep my spirits up. Like, "Yeah, it's eviction day. Tumors be gone. You've been living rent-free in my body for too long. Get out." So it was, it wasn't a perspective I definitely appreciated. But of course, my anxiety and mania were like, I don't want to do this. Obviously, I had to do it too. It's a life-saving procedure, so there was no question of this. But, so I was wheeled down the hall. The porter was very nice. We were chatting. And then she parked me outside the OR and kind of left me there. She said, "Don't worry, we'll come back to get you when it's time." Okay, you're leaving me in the hallway on this bed, on this gurney. People are just walking by like it ain't no thing. I mean, I'm sure that, folks have seen countless thousands of surgeries, but this was my first time. So I was a little weirded out just being left alone in this hallway. The surgical assistant came out and talked to me. Very nice. Hi, my name is, I don't remember half the names, and explain what they were doing, how to make questions, etc. Do you consent to this surgery, etc. Which I said, yes, absolutely. Let's, as nervous as I was, let's get these out. The anesthesia person with the happy gas came out. I believe his name was Dr. McCormick, and he was an elderly gentleman. He was a very kindly gentleman. He was touching my arm and being very sweet, and I expressed all my concerns to him, and he said that they usually give what's called an antiemetic as part in the IV anyway, something, an anti-nauseant basically. So that was relief. I looked at him, I said, I just don't want to mess up anybody's nice clean scrubs, and he said, oh, don't worry, we'll be fine. Just, very kind, and I really appreciated that kindness. And in the meantime, he was also trying to raise a vein on my hand. As you can see, I still got that bruise from my IV. It was a lot darker a few days ago. So he kept, keep making a fist, squeeze your hand, trying to raise the vein, and he's tapping my hand. And then doctors say this too, like every single doctor has said this is going to be just a little pinch. It felt like a railroad spike was being driven under my hand, just, oh, it was so painful. I have a phobia of needles anyway, so this was just like, ugh. Yes, I know. I have piercings and tattoos. I have a fear of needles. It's a different procedure, okay? Like tattoos, they're a subcutaneous procedure, no biggie. Flu shots, blood tests, that sort of thing. They're going like inches deep into muscle tissue and just, bleh. I can't do it. Well, I have to, but So the IV was in, yay. My surgeon came out, Dr. Bishop. I know I probably mentioned this before, looks exactly like Richard Patrick, who's the lead singer for the band Filter. And just very effervescent and wonderful. How are we doing this morning? Yay, this is gonna be great. He kind of gave me his little pep talk, like, yeah, you'll be fine. We'll bring you in when we're ready. And I didn't know at the time that they don't bring you in the OR until it's go time, until the equipment is ready and everybody's ready to go. I was talking with a friend of mine just today who actually helped me get to and from a medical appointment. And she mentioned she was just working as an assistant in an OR. And she said the same thing. It's pretty much just, they bring you in when you're ready, like boom, done, hit the ground running. So the doors fling open, a porter comes out and says, hey, are you able to walk into the operating room? I wasn't even allowed to wear my glasses in the OR. So I was very honest and said, I can't see where I'm going. Like, I'm not completely blind. I can see shapes and stuff, but I'm useless. So she said, oh, take my arm, come grab my arm. So we're walking into the OR together. I'm on her arm, and I kind of feel like a VIP being walked into like this gala or event, because everybody there is like very nice and like, hi, good morning, come on in. I can't say they were smiling because everybody was wearing masks. I was wearing a mask too. And just very, welcoming, very relaxed, which I really appreciated. As I said, my anxiety was just wee through the roof. Although they did give me an Ativan about an hour before, just dissolved under my tongue. They said, oh, the nurse came in and said, here's an Ativan. She's like, are you nervous? Are you like, shaking? So she gave me an Ativan. It took the edge off. Thank heavens. I already take prescription medication for my anxiety and depression as it is. Full disclosure, I'm bipolar and have PTSD. So taking a med for the anxiety on top of what I already take was a huge bonus. So I did that. I was feeling a little more relaxed, but again, still confronting this situation. I'm new to this, so anybody who's gone through these procedures before, you'll probably be nodding and going, yeah, I remember that and seen that. So it wasn't just an operating table. There was a table, but there were like these armrests on either side. It almost looks like a cross to be laid down on. Not quite, but So I lay down on that. Of course, I extend the one arm where my IV is, because I'm going to be hooking up all the stuff to that, getting my vitals read, my blood pressure, whatnot. Still a little nervous, but you know, starting to lean into it, being a little more comfortable. And then, you know, I asked the questions like, what's your full name? What's your date of birth? What are you here for today? Just to make sure I'm coherent. And then she said, we'll be asking the other doctors questions too as we go, blah, blah, blah. And then the magic happened where I had an oxygen mask fitted over my mouth. They said, okay, we're going to put this oxygen mask down. I started breathing. And it was just the most pure, gorgeous air I have ever breathed in my life. I don't know if it's how it sounded, but I remember saying, oh, this is wonderful. And then lights out. I was gone. Everybody who said I would not know what was happening, you were absolutely correct. I couldn't tell my butt from a hole in the ground. The next thing I remember, I was opening my eyes and I was waking up in the recovery room. Like, well, the room where I originally was getting prepped with my husband. So I was very, very, very groggy. Well, I had come to realize later, my husband told me that I had taken a little longer in recovery because I wasn't waking up. Instead of being there for 1 hour, I was there for 2 because I was out like a light. Which in hindsight, I think it was because I hadn't slept very well the night before, so I probably needed that nap. But I don't know if anybody tried to wake me up or anything. I have no idea. To this day, I still can't remember a lot from that day. Everything's kind of patchy. But I remember somebody coming through the curtains going, oh, you're awake now. Okay, we'll go get your husband and we'll do this and that, whatever. And of course, I'm in this, you know, nest of blankets and pillows, just like, just totally incoherent. Next thing I remember, my husband flinging open the curtains and going, oh, hey, you're awake. Yay, you're out. You're good. You survived. You made it. Just this big ball of positivity, which I registered then as quite hilarious, but obviously still incoherent. I don't even remember half the conversations we had that day. But the nurse that came in to take care of the discharge, she asked me how I was feeling, and I said I was in a little bit of pain because obviously all the surgery was here. To break it down, there were 2 incisions, one made up here in my armpit. I know, cringe, ouch. And the other one was made in the underside of my breast. The one on top was made to remove not just the one tumor, or sorry, the one lymph node, but to remove the other 2 on either side of them. And then the surgeon kind of shimmied down with a little magnet or something to remove the mag seed that was placed in the 9 o'clock position. And I'm assuming to scrape out any other cells and whatnot in that area, just to make sure that there was absolutely nothing left. So they, from what I've been told, lumpectomies do take a little more than necessary, which is fine. My bra size is a 36 double D or 38D, depending on the fit. So I've got plenty to go around, you know. But the incision up here, like there's a lot of tape and gauze and stuff up here still. I just actually had my dressing changed today, and I'm glad. It's still a little tender, but because I was feeling a bit of pain that day, the nurse gave me a Percocet for the pain, which I didn't remember at the time. You know, later on that night, I said to my husband, oh, I should take another one. No, it was like, I think only a couple hours later. And my husband said, no, you had one at the hospital. And I said, no, I didn't. I'm pretty sure. No, you had one at the hospital. Do you remember the nurse? Okay, for clarification, the nurse that was helping me get my stuff together to go looked like Rosario Dawson, if you know who that is. So he said, yeah, you remember the nurse that looked like Rosario Dawson? She gave you the Percocet. I don't remember. So, I don't remember a lot. I remember being given pretty much what I call a swag bag of like gauze and tape and whatnot, just to sort of help with dressing changes, as well as I think there was like a bottle of saline, a roll of tape, that sort of thing. I was not really informed how to do the dressing changes, so I have to do them through like a home care thing here in Guelph. Well, it's not really home care if I'm going there. And the nice lady who helped me with the dressing change today, she said, you don't have to come here, we can arrange it. I'm like, no, if this gets me out of the apartment for a few hours, I'm game, let's do this. But the day itself, the day of surgery itself, I was allowed to go home because it was a day surgery. So I didn't have to stay in the hospital overnight or anything. I thought I would have, but they're pretty standard procedure. So my mom and sister came to get me. My husband let them know that I was ready to go at some point. I remember standing up to get dressed and I just almost fell over. So my husband had to catch me because I was like, what? Oh my gosh. I can laugh now. At the time, I just did not know my butt from a hole in the ground. So, uh, so I needed help to get dressed too, which is a first. And I remember thinking to myself, I'm 52. I'm too young to need help to get dressed or do the basic necessities. This isn't fair. So we finally got me dressed. They parked me in a wheelchair. I was wheeled out in a wheelchair. I have never been in a wheelchair in my life. So this was a trip for me. But of course, as I said, a lot of firsts. So they wheeled me out. We're waiting outside. My mom and sister show up. We load me into the car. My mom starts to drive away and the nausea hits. I had been told that it's like a 50-50 shot when somebody comes out of general anesthetic, whether they're going to be sick or not, or feel sick. I felt sick. We were not even out of the hospital parking lot, and I started feeling very, yeah. Now, I didn't do anything. I begged my mom, please slow down, please slow down. I'm going to have to. They even gave me emesis bags on the way out of the hospital, barf bags. And I didn't use it. I didn't think I'd have to use it, but my mom very cautiously slowed down. Like, we were literally crawling out of the parking lot and onto the street. And for some reason, after a couple minutes, I just kind of overcame that hurdle and thought, oh, I feel better now. Okay, we're good. So that was interesting to me. I seriously thought I was going to have to pay for my mom's car to be cleaned, but we dodged that, which is good. And then, yeah, they took me home. My husband stayed home that night. He kept a close eye on me. I told him if I was sleeping, to make sure if I don't have fever or if I, feel extra sweaty, whatever. I'm sweaty all the time anyway. But the first 24 to 48 hours after, they want to make sure that you don't have any infections, because infections can happen post-surgery. If there's any, high fever, nausea, vomiting, anything around the incision or the wound that looks disgusting, like any pus, any crustiness, whatever. And I haven't had any incidents with that whatsoever. Everything, it looks clean. Everything looked well preserved. Now, that night, I'm pretty sure I just slept. As soon as I got home, I just collapsed. I also grabbed the shawl that Tori from Polly's Crochet Creations made me, the big virus shawl that I showed in my Happy Mail video. I pretty much just grabbed that and just curled up and went to sleep for, I think, at least 2 or 3 hours, because I was just wiped, which, understandable, right? But it definitely came in handy. So again, Tori, if you're watching, thank you. The shawl is gorgeous. It was like just this big blanket, just kind of snuggled with it. But because my husband had to go back to work on Thursday, I went to my mom's. Now, my mom and sister invited me to stay with them for a couple of days while I recover from my surgery, which is very kind. And I really appreciated that. So I went over Thursday, stayed Thursday night, came home again Friday. It was really good. They really gave me like the nurturing and spoiling that I needed. I'm not saying that my husband didn't, okay? Like, for the record, he is an absolute champion and has been throughout this whole journey. But because he went back to work, my mom and sister were a little concerned, not paranoid, but just wanted to make sure that somebody was keeping an eye on me and making sure I was okay. Because the painkillers they gave me, okay, I don't remember the name of the one that helps with pain from nerve endings, because obviously going into the armpit, taking out lymph nodes and doing stuff around here, it's going to affect your nerve endings. So I'm on a medication for that to sort of help keep that down to a dull roar. Holy cow, I can't talk. Which is amazing. But they also gave me a pain med. They gave me, it's pretty much oxycodone. And if anybody's seen any of the documentaries circling Netflix or whatever, that talk about the family that invented it and all the stuff that surrounded there, I was actually surprised. Now, I was prescribed, I think, enough for like, 30 tablets or whatever, with the instructions that I was to take 1 or 2 every 6 hours as needed. No, nope, 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 nope. Okay, again, full disclosure, I am a recovering addict. Well, I was more of an alcoholic than a drug addict, but alcohol is still a drug. And there's a part of my brain that would have reacted quite instantaneously, but now, maybe because I'm older and I don't need to feel that desire to whatever fill the void that drugs filled when I was younger, or at least, addiction can be quite the beast. I will fully admit to that. But because I don't have that urge to release my grip on reality, I didn't get that automatic ping, we like this. I take half an oxy if I need to, and that happens maybe once a day, twice if I'm really, struggling with the pain. But it felt like my brain was wrapped in cotton. I did not like it. I was completely useless. I was nodding off on the couch and I didn't like it. I mean, of course, I don't like feeling useless to begin with. I feel like I should be doing something, which is why I'm working on this right now. But being on those painkillers was just, no. I will be returning what's left to my pharmacy and saying, yeah, if you can dispose of these, because I don't want them. I don't even want them in my apartment. But, oh shoot, I screwed that up. Okay. So, yeah, the pain is not as bad now. It's only been 5 days since surgery. I'm healing up well. I'm still a little tired. I cannot do a lot of heavy lifting. In fact, I shouldn't be doing any lifting with this arm at all. My right arm, I can't, I'm not supposed to be lifting anything heavier than 10 pounds. I even struggled doing housework, which I was told, don't do it. Don't push yourself. Don't do like a lot of strenuous housework. I tried doing some dishes yesterday and I had to give up halfway through just because my arm was not at full use. So I even discovered, I tried knitting the day after surgery, and knitting was not working because, you need both hands. So I found crochet for some reason a little bit easier, but again, still a bit stressful. I can do it right now. I'm fine. I can, as long as I pace myself, I'm okay. But other than that, everything has been going swimmingly. I get my pathology reports on the 29th of this month. That's August 29th when I go for my surgical follow-up. Whoo boy. And we will hear from then. We will hear on that date whether or not all the cancer was removed. Fingers crossed. I will be going for radiation regardless, and it sounds like it's just going to fry anything that's residual, that's kind of hanging out in there, hiding, which should be about 3 to 4 weeks. It's going to be Monday to Friday every day. I understand that the treatments will be only 20 minutes long, but I also understand after watching Hank Green's vlogs, because he's been going through his cancer journey, that the effects of radiation are similar to chemo and that they will be accumulative. So I'm going to be feeling pretty daggone tired by the end of the week. Yay! It's going to be another of the things where I'm going to be spending the weekend pretty much just useless and lying down and wiped out. So, but it's all to make me feel better. And to answer anybody's questions, what I am making, I said in the beginning of the video, I'm making another one of the chemo caps from Christie's Over the Mountain Crochet. The yarn I am using is Bernat Softy Cotton. And this is in the colorway Lilac. I don't have the band with me. I've made a few hats out of this yarn, so it is 100% cotton. The skeins are 3.5 ounces. I don't have the yarn measurements offhand. It is a light weight of 3. And it takes a size 4mm needle and crochet hook, but I'm using a 4.5 on this hat because I like my crochet to have a bit more breathing room, a bit more drape, and I think it looks pretty. I've tried using a 4, and it's a little bit of wiggle room that I'm not, too fond of, so I bump up to a 4.5 just to give it a little bit of extra space. So, oh, and speaking of chemo caps, if you folks aren't doing anything on Saturday at noon, I will be a special guest with Connie at Just Another Stitch. I was supposed to do it last month in July, but unfortunately that day that I was supposed to do it, I had forgotten that I had previously committed myself to the punk rock flea market here in Guelph. So unfortunately we had to switcheroo that around, and instead I will be joining her this Saturday. That is August the 26th at 12 noon, noon Eastern Standard Time, 1 p.m. Central Time. I think that's how it works. Yeah, okay. So I am very excited. This is going to be awesome. I can't wait to sit and chat with her. And the topic of discussion, by the way, is going to be chemo caps. We originally were going to talk about ponchos, but I haven't knit or crocheted any ponchos in a while. And of course, being August and super hot, I haven't wanted to play with anything bigger than like a worsted weight of 4 yarn. Like I usually make my ponchos out of bulky yarn, but just looking at them makes me want to sweat. So yeah, this Saturday, August the 26th, 12 noon Eastern Standard Time, jump on to Just Another Stitch with Connie and come hear us ramble about making chemo caps and maybe life in general. We'll see. I keep pulling this down because it feels like it's pulling back. So the hair is growing in, but I'm still a little embarrassed to have anybody see my scalp. So I think that's it for now. Everything's going swimmingly. Again, just wanted to pop in, get some work done on one of my hats, and just chat with you folks. And again, thank you so much for all the support and positive feedback and well wishes. It means so much to me, and I'm super grateful. One of these days I will be doing something like this where we won't be talking about what's wrong with my body. Fingers crossed. Someday it'll happen. But in the meantime, I have to go because duty calls, and I got some stuff to take care of and messes to clean, and one of my cats is yelling out the door. They need pampering. So I think this whole surgical thing and me being sequestered in my bedroom has thrown everybody for a loop. So yeah, in the meantime, thank you again so much. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. I appreciate all the positive feedback. If you haven't yet done so already, please go down here and click the subscribe button and hit the notification bell as well. Let me know. It'll let you know when new videos come up. Speaking of subscribers, I did do my draw for my 1,000 subscriber contest, and I have yet to hear from the 2 winners. Their names are Elfa Hold and Patsy Scholl. I drew their names last week or the week before, and I did say I had until Friday, but I've extended it. But ladies, I'm still waiting. If I don't hear from you by the end of this week, I'm going to draw 2 more names, and we'll go from there. And I will do so through a video here. But I need you both to respond with your mailing information ASAP, because I really want to give you guys some yarn. Anyway, that's it for now. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Stay safe. Keep making cool stuff, and I will talk to you later. Okay. Bye.